some fascinating new details, adding to the knowledge about the Mueller investigation's search for the truth as they look at the interactions between the Justice Department as well as the officials at the FBI after the firing of former FBI Director James Comey.
President Trump's attorney, Rudy Giuliani, setting a red line for special counsel Robert Mueller, urging investigators to wrap up their probe ahead of the midterm elections.
If he doesn't file his report by September 1st, mid-September, he's clearly doing a Comey.
Giuliani telling reporters that he doesn't think Mr. Trump will fire the special counsel, although a source tells CNN President Trump and his team are going to continue to use the investigation as a political weapon heading into election season.
So you got a group there that's a lynching mob. We'll let the American people decide this.
Republican Oversight Chair Congressman Trey Gowdy undercutting the president's latest attempt to undermine the Russia probe by claiming that the FBI planted a spy in his campaign.
The fact that two people who were loosely connected with the Trump campaign may have been involved doesn't diminish the fact that Russia was the target and not the campaign.
The White House continuing to push the debunked claim, but providing no evidence.
Given what Trey Gowdy has said, is the president prepared now to retract his allegation that the FBI was spying on his campaign?
No, clearly there's still cause for concern that needs to be looked at.
Giuliani also telling reporters that Attorney General Jeff Sessions' job is safe for now, despite the president's escalating attacks over his decision to recuse himself from the investigation.
There's no doubt he's complaining about him.
So what is he saying now?
There's no doubt he has some grievances. I don't know that he had him out yet. But he's not going to fire him before this is over. Nor that I think he should.
Mr. Trump endorsing the characterization of Sessions' decision as an unforced betrayal of the President of the United States after lamenting that he wished he had picked someone else for Attorney General. All this as a previously undisclosed memo written by former FBI Director Andrew McCabe offers new insight into the circumstances surrounding the firing of James Comey. A source tells CNN the memo details a conversation between McCabe and Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein. During that discussion, Rosenstein said the president asked him to reference the Russia investigation in his letter recommending Comey's termination, according to McCabe's memo. Rosenstein did not comply and focused his letter on Comey's handling of the Hillary Clinton email investigation.
He made a recommendation, but regardless of recommendation, I was going to fire Comey. I said, you know, this Russia thing with Trump and Russia is a made-up story.
The New York Times reports that McCabe feared Rosenstein helped provide President Trump a cover story for the FBI director's firing.
Now, this morning here at the White House, the president is expected to set out in just a little while for Texas. He's expected to attend a pair of fundraisers there in Dallas and Houston. He's also expected to meet privately with family members and victims of that recent school shooting in Santa Fe. John and Allison, back to you.
Okay, Joe, thank you very much for all of that. Let's discuss it. We want to bring in CNN political analyst John Avlon and CNN legal analyst Michael Zeldin. He is the former special assistant to Robert Mueller at the Justice Department. And Michael, that's why I want to start with you. You know Robert Mueller's mind. You know how he is inclined. So when Rudy Giuliani says this about a date, how does Mueller respond? Listen to Giuliani.
If he doesn't file his report by September 1st, mid-September, he's clearly doing a Comey.
So will he fire him if he doesn't file the report by September 1st?
I don't think he's going to fire Mueller. Mueller is creating his own problems.
Michael, when he says he has to file by September 1st or mid-September, obviously Robert Mueller is not going to file before it's ready. But what is his response when he hears things like that from the president's lawyer?
I think he just ignores it, as well he should. Rudy Giuliani does not set the timetable for this investigation. His wishing doesn't make it so. Mueller will issue his report pursuant to the regulations when he's decided that he has no more investigating to do. Full stop. That's what it'll be. And if it is such that the investigation is ongoing and they get into this window right before the elections where if they were to issue a report, it might be deemed to have an impact on the election, then he'll hold the report until after the election. Right. So I think that's what is Mueller's point of view and Mueller's timeline. And Rudy Giuliani can say whatever Rudy Giuliani wants to say, and he'll end up getting booed in Yankee Stadium again.
Yeah, you went to Michael Zeldin first for the law, but the fact is this isn't about the law. This is just pure, simple politics and PR that Rudy Giuliani is playing here, John. And I mentioned at the top, it's just loosely moving the football here. They're just trying to create as many barriers as is humanly possible for this investigation to run smoothly. And then if it does run, they're trying to smear it the best they can.
Right. And Rudy has
admittedly,
Rudy has admittedly, yeah, to your point, Rudy has said this is about the court of public opinion. If it goes to impeachment, that's a political process, therefore public opinion matters. And Rudy's job is sort of to create a lot of distraction and deflection, which is a classic Trump tactic. I think, look, as you all know, I worked for Rudy Giuliani for many years. I have a lot of respect for him, what he did in New York City as mayor, and a lot of affection for him. But this statement about a lynch mob in particular goes way beyond the line. Rudy Giuliani knows better. He has spent a lot of his life in the Justice Department as a U.S.
so
attorney.
then why is he saying it if he knows better?
Because I think he's trying to defend his client, and this is the kind of language his client wants to hear. But he demeans himself in the process, and he knows better than this. That language, it crosses a line to me. So did the stormtroopers comment, crosses a line. Rudy Giuliani, former U.S. attorney, knows better. And Robert Mueller, as much as they try to demonize, this investigation, and they use the 13 Democrats, let's not forget Robert Mueller is a Republican. And when he was appointed, a lot of Trump's proxies and supporters praised the appointment. So let's not get spun up about this.
And by the way, the people on his team have given money to Democrats and to Republican candidates. We have the records. So he tries to say that they're all Democrats and that they all have given to Democratic candidates. That's just also not true. Yeah. But also on your analogy, on your Lucy moves the football. She's moving it closer to Charlie Brown in this analogy, because he's moving the date closer to when we think Mueller might ever be ready. We don't know if September 1st he'll be ready by. Is that what you mean by moving the football?
It's a metaphorical football. First of all, I'm not saying it's a physical football right now.
Thank you.
It's I think what I was suggesting, just making it harder for them to do it, just making it harder for the Mueller team to do its job. It just seems that everything that they're doing right now is to gum up the works and muck it up.
Yes, I understand.
Because if they wanted to finish the investigation, you know how you do it? You send the president in to meet with Robert Mueller.
That's right.
You send the president to meet with that gets this thing tied up in a hurry.
I guess if we're at that point,
they've been asking, but they've been asking for a month.
What do you think, Michael? You're the expert.
He thinks I'm right. His silence there is an affirmation of me being correct. Clearly.
Obviously, if Mueller were done, we'd know the results. So what's he waiting for?
Well, I think he's got aspects of the investigation that he still needs to wrap up. We haven't heard anything from Mueller on the hacking of the DNC or Podesta yet. I think that's a thread that still needs to be, pulled to its conclusion. And we don't know what's going on with the real lawyers, because Giuliani is not one of them. He's a PR guy. The real lawyers and Mueller in the negotiations for an interview, because I believe there will be an interview one way or the other, whether they fight it in a context of a grand jury subpoena and lose in the courts, or whether they acquiesce and have a voluntary interview. It's not until that interview occurs that Mueller is in a position to wrap things up. If you look at the Whitewater investigation, after the interview, it took Starr about 23 days to file his final report. And this is not going to be different in this case either.